All right, I want to call this meeting of the Simpson County Fiscal Court to order. I want to ask our county attorney, Sam Phillips, if he would lead us in a prayer. We'll follow that with the pledge of the flag.
Let us pray. Gracious and loving Heavenly Father, we come to you thankful today for our blessings that you have given to us as individuals, as a community, and as a nation. Ask that you bless this body as we consider the business of the county today. I ask that you give these members wisdom and discernment in making the decisions. I ask that you bless. We pray for the state and national leaders as well. Give them wisdom and discernment to do what is right, what is not politically expedient. Also ask that you bless those who wear the uniforms here and abroad. Help keep them safe. Bless them and bring them home to their families safely. We pray for our first responders. Keep them safe while they keep us safe and protected. And as always, we ask you to bless and keep the veterans. Forgive us in the ways which we sin and fail thee. We ask this in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I can get tangled up in my cord over here. All right, I don't see anyone pose any public comment. Gentlemen, if y'all had an opportunity to review the minutes of our August 3rd regular fiscal court meeting, I need a motion and a second to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Scott.
Second.
Second by Myron. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? He abstained. All right, next, gentlemen, if you had an opportunity to review ordinance number 220.231, we need to have first reading. It's fiscal year 21-22 budget ordinance number 220.231, amendment number 2. It's amending in $12,340 of sheriff's grants for office supplies and vest, I believe.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty.
Second.
Second by Nate. Any question or discussion? And with that, we'll do a roll call.
Yes.
Daniel Downey,
Yes.
Scott Huston,
Yes.
Ryan Thurman,
Yes.
Mason Barnes,
Yes. All right, next, we advertised for bids for the pickup trucks for Public Works. It appears, Bobby, we only got one bidder, which was Hunt Ford. The bid price was $35,200 per truck. So 2 trucks would be $70,400, and I guess there's no real time frame on when the trucks will be here.
Long time.
Yeah.
They said really do first of next summer, if possible.
Wow.
What
But
did you
this
say?
first of next summer, but this price will be good. This is our price. Whenever they arrive, we're good. All right. So, gentlemen, I guess we need a motion and a second to accept the only bid we received. It was advertised, but we only received the one bid.
Second.
We got a motion by Myron, second by Nate. Any other question or discussion?
Only question, was there a reason why you wanted gas over diesel, or is it just cheaper for gas? Okay. All right. That-
We discussed that with the ton truck. It's quite a bit cheaper, and for what we use them for, I don't know if it benefit, they hardly ever get out of county.
Okay, okay.
But yes, it was $6,000-7,000 cheaper.
Okay. All right, well, gas is cheaper than diesel too, so.
All right. All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, and I'm not finding it on the portal. Nicole, you asked me this yesterday, but I don't see the bush hog bids on the portal. Do we not?
That's a
State, you want to address that, Bobby? What we've got is to discuss the approval of Public Works purchasing bush hogs on the state contract.
You might as well stay there, the next three items is,
I don't have it with me. I think it was in the email that when I gave the information. But if you'll remember last fall, or well, this spring, before the last budget, we had enough money to purchase two. And it was $30,300 some odd dollars, I believe, for two of them. And that's under the state contract with Hall Manufacturing. The state contract is getting ready to change next month. So they said if we want them, they can get them at that same price we bought the other two at, but we needed to at least lock it in, go ahead and order it.
do you have them on email? Or are they downstairs, or?
Do you
I
have,
don't have the bids, all I have is the email that says 30,000.
oh, yeah, that's all.
30,300 and what?
Yeah, there was no bid because it's state contract
30,300?
for two.
30,313 for two.
For two, yeah. That was the state contract price that Hall Manufacturing has.
Okay, is that the 10-foot,
That's the same, yeah.
the same as you got last
Same
year?
ones as we bought, well, that's the price that we paid for the two.
But if we
last
don't
year.
go ahead and approve to lock this in, that state contract price is about to go up.
Yes, he said they're rebidding that,
It's a steel surcharge, any of that
just
stuff.
Yeah.
just to back up just a little bit though, that's the same thing happened with the pickup trucks. The state contracts, I contacted one of the other dealers, and their contracts are renewed. And he said there would be a gap of when they could even order them. They didn't have the price yet, so they didn't want to go with the bid then because of that. So all the state contracts are being renewed here in the next few months.
All right, so
But that was a budgeted item.
Yeah.
So moved.
So we got a motion by Marty to approve the purchase of the two bush hogs at state contract price of $30,313, a second by Scott.
That's for both. That's not a piece, that's for both.
I said two
Yeah.
bush hogs at $30,313 for both. Yeah. Got a motion by Marty, a second by Scott. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, gentlemen, if you had an opportunity to review the resolution that authorizes an agreement for rural secondary road program fiscal year 21-22 flex funds, it's in the amount of $168,386. We need a motion and a second to authorize that resolution and authorize the county judge to sign that resolution.
Motion made.
Motion by Nate. Second by Myron. Any question or discussion on that?
I have one. The Hall Effie Road that's on there, this goes from Humphrey over to Blacktop.
It completes what was not done last year.
Well, then when we did the 21-22 paving list, I know it's on the next one, but you've got Hall Effie South. So I was just wondering why, because that one was just done, wasn't it?
I may just be mixed up in how I labeled it.
Okay,
From
okay.
Humphreys past Lick Creek
Yeah.
to that end was done last year.
Exactly,
This
exactly.
is the remainder of the.
Okay, all right.
Any other questions?
When are they expecting to start? Well,
As soon as we
had
get
to
this
get this
back.
approved. Okay,
Because I've already got them lined up.
okay,
Well, they haven't put us in their lineup, but he knows about it. He said as soon as we get this approval, let him know and they'll start getting it worked in.
and is this Dewey's or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, now, next, gentleman, Marty touched on this a little bit already. If you had an opportunity to review the 21-22 additional road list, we'd need a motion and a second to approve that list.
So you're saying that Hall Effie South is wrong on there?
I don't know what you're looking at. What I sent the other day did not have.
I got,
Well, this is what I'm considering the south end of Holland.
okay,
It's what's in the flex.
okay, all right,
The only two right now would be those listed below that are non-flex,
okay.
which when I say non-flex, they're not use flex funds to pay for it.
Yeah, Harvey Robertson and Hatter, part of Hatter.
Well, there's a discussion I'd like to
explain my reason on Hatter.
You give your explanation, and then we'll proceed.
Well, the Hatter Road, Nathaniel had asked about resurfacing and widening that. It's 16-foot wide now. Of course, the heavier traffic is on the 383 end because there's two cul-de-sacs that have subdivisions in them, and plus all the houses. The reason I did it this way is because there's actually not enough money in the asphalt budget to do that complete road. If you wanted that road done, my suggestion would be that we prepare the entire road from 383 to 100 to be widened this fall, let it sit over winter, and then come back next spring and address it. Because if you notice, there's a $20,000 balance on that sheet, and it will take about $28,000 to complete that road. So I'm short on my budget. But by next spring, I'll know where our money is. I'm pretty confident we would have enough money left over or to pull
To put with this
to
20,000.
complete the road.
Right.
But I just left it this way right now so we wouldn't be over budget, showing something being over budget, if that's what you all want to do. My suggestion when we widen these roads is we need to do the prep work in the fall so it can sit over winter, because we're already having issues. If you notice row arc, how bad it's breaking up, there's going to be some major work for us next year on row arc to do some repairs. It's going to take some.
And I've had some people ask about the shoulders on Love and Chapel too.
Yeah. And with shouldering is something we usually do, is we have the gravel money to go back and do later. But I'm just saying that causes issues if we don't let that ground sit over. So my suggestion is if we do it this way, I can prep Hatter and then come back next fall and we'll try to move the money into to complete the road.
Bobby, will there be monies in there? Of course, there's probably gonna be a lot of mailboxes.
Well, that's another thing I want you all to know about before we do
And
this.
when we go to a 16-foot wide road,
To a 19.
just to a 19-foot wide road, so are we gonna be mandated to stripe this road?
Well, it would be suggested to stripe it if it's over 18 foot. Striping that road would cost $4,700, and that's not configured in this. This is nothing but asphalt right here. But one of the things I want y'all to be aware of, because I don't know how much pushback we'll run into anybody in that community, but to widen that road, there's 4 driveways that are going to have tiles replaced and moved back on that road. Several mailboxes have to be removed, but there's one house that has 2 concrete drives with brick head walls laid. And those are going to have to come out and redone.
Well, that'll be all on Nate.
You gonna talk to them, Nate?
Well, here's my suggestion about it though. I don't mind at all cutting there. I mean, we've done it before. We've cut drives and repaired them. I'm not gonna suggest though that we put his brick head walls back because they don't need to be there. Right now, they're right up the edge of the road and they're a road hazard.
Well, they're in the county right away anyway. They shouldn't be there.
Yeah, and he also has a brick mailbox that's about that far. And we have actually moved those before without tearing them up.
Yeah, because most of them are poured on a pad. You can get around them and
If you
slide them back.
If you can break them, get them loose, we've slid them back and
Yeah.
nobody ever knows it, so that can be moved. There's also 2 trees that are not on that same person's property, I don't believe, but directly across from that house, there's 2 large trees that are going to have to come out. So,
Well, I know when we widen when we widen Cheney Road, I went down Cheney Road and talked to just about everybody I could talk to let them know, because we were going to have to redo, we didn't have any brick mailboxes I know of, but we were cutting fence rows out. We were having to do a lot of work down through there. So that definitely is something, in all seriousness, that you probably need to go talk to them about before we go and all done.
I don't mind doing the work, but I just want the people out there to know that the courts, everybody's just made this decision, and I'm not coming out there just randomly telling you I'm gonna tear your driveway up, you know?
And this, what you're sharing with us and talking to about widening on Hatter Road will kind of tie into a couple of other things that we're going to discuss later on.
But I'm all for widening any road that we do.
Yeah. And I'm sure Hatter Road needs it, especially on that 383 end. And I don't know about Scott, yours or Myron's district, but I know in Marty's, if there's a road that needs widening that would be an absolute pain to do, but it needs it, is Hack Brown Road.
Hack Brown, Henson, both of them need it, but Hack Brown needs it
You know,
bad.
we don't mind, I don't mind at all doing it, we can do
Yeah.
those jobs.
Yeah.
But one thing that people don't think about is utilities
Yep,
and drop-offs.
yep.
If you have a drop-off that's that far, you just don't go out there and throw a piece of dirt in there
Yeah.
and, hey, I mean, it's a.
And you got a few of those on Hack Brown Road where the road's right next to
We've
drop-off.
got a lot of them in places, and it's
Yeah.
easy to say widen it, but
Yeah,
a lot of times when you get,
yeah.
We did, Roark Road that he was talking about, they used a bunch of dirt from the, Henderson Industrial Park when they was doing that road out there. Because they had a road put through, and then they took the road out, and they used, I don't know how many loads of dirt from that industrial park out there and used that to help build the shoulders up. So
but
you
that's
gotta have
why
a
I
place to
say
get the dirt.
it needs time to settle over the winter,
Yeah.
because you'll have failure if you don't.
Any other questions? I don't think we've had a motion yet.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
So Marty's got the motion to adopt this 2021 additional road list. Nate's got the second. Any other question or discussion?
Unless we need to just add in there, and unless there's a big kickback from the people on Hatter Road to not widen it. You know, I don't know.
You wanna make that amendment to your motion?
Yeah, subject to Magistrate Downing getting, saying it's
Favorable
okay, a
report back
favorable
from the
report,
neighbors.
yes.
Yeah, I don't think it will be much problem because I know the last couple of years, it's been several residents out there approaching me, complaining about the road being too narrow and mailbox right on the side of the road that they got to stop for oncoming traffic. So a lot of residents out there, this is something that they've really been looking forward to for a while now.
And
Okay,
I've not figured, there will be some extra cost for tiles and some work. That's not figured in here, because we can absorb that in our other parts of our budget. Okay?
so we know there's not $4,700 to stripe it. We know there's not money
The
for,
striping will have to be addressed afterwards.
we know there's, it's gonna be it's probably gonna be another, well,
Got another $10,000 to finish the asphalt, so. But now on the flex funds, these flex roads, that $96,000 total,
yeah,
30,000 of that is added on to the flex fund, because the flex fund was 165 something.
okay.
So we'll cover our flex roads. But when I figure these two, I always figure heavy. I mean, there'll be some money left over from there, because I'd rather have some left than to be scrambling trying to find it. So there'll probably be $5,000 out of that 196 left over that we can
Okay.
move. Good.
All right, so we got a motion by Marty and a second by Nate. All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, next, gentlemen, if you had an opportunity to review this, I want a discussion about the Harper Recovery Fund Expenditure Policy Resolution. I had a gentleman from Compass Municipal stop by and met, talked with Nicole and I, and what they're offering a service, and the service is that Compass will help us track everything that we do. They will help put together an assessment of lost revenue to get all that together. And the law firm involved here will also sign off on any expenditure that we're planning. Like they would review if we say, okay, this is a project that we think we want to do, they would sign off on that as being a valid project that fits within the scope and the guidelines of the ARPA money. So the cost of that would be 1.5%. 3/4 of it would go to Compass, 3/4 of it would go to the law firm. So in total, you're talking about total, if we expend the entire balance of the ARPA funds we're receiving, the maximum we would pay out there would be roughly $54,000, and it could be paid directly out of those ARPA funds. So, and I don't want to put Nicole on the spot here this morning because she might do harm to me later. Really, she won't. But I asked her, I said, how do you feel about this? Because here's the issue we've got, and she can attest to this. We were in one of the Zoom meetings about this ARPA funding, and the specific question was asked, will we have a point of contact? You know, just like if we get ready to do something here at the county level and there's a question mark, can we do this, can we not? We have contacts at DLG, you know, is this an appropriate use of funds? Can we do this? And I mean, obviously you get audited by the state, but once you do something that you shouldn't do, it's too late. I mean, you've done it, and now you're going to get popped for it in the audit. So we have that ability to contact DLG and say, hey, can this be done? And you feel pretty good. With this, the specific question was asked, will we have a point of contact to run this by? If we get ready to do a certain project, is there someone that we can contact? And the answer, and I believe that this was exactly what was said, Nicole, was, no, we expect y'all to know what to do. Yeah. So, and some of it's a little vague, you know. So from the standpoint of the county treasurer, it's worth the $54,000 to have some checks and balances to feel like, hey, what we're doing is going to fit. I think that, I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I think the county treasurer would be comfortable with having those checks and balances.
Well, does this take the, I guess, responsibility off our back as far as if we say we're going to do this and this, they check into it and say, yes, you can do that?
Yeah.
But what
and
if,
my understanding is we will actually get documentation from the law firm that says they've reviewed it and it is an allowable expenditure.
I think, just to touch on what Scott's saying, and I'm fine with doing this, any checks and balances is fine. I don't like the 0.75%, obviously, but I haven't read anything in here that says that if they say it's okay, and then later on, you know, and we do it, and then all of a sudden the federal government says, no, you can't do that, are they stepping up to the plate and accepting responsibility for making that decision? Because I haven't seen anything in here. It says it's going to monitor everything, but I don't know, should they be bonded so that if they give us the wrong information, that they're covered?
Well, I think the law firm will be.
Okay, so you're saying the law firm, if
Yeah.
they give
I
us,
forget the name. I'd have to pull this up to get the name of that law firm.
so you think that if they give us,
Knights and Harvest?
Yes.
if they give us the wrong information and we do something
exactly,
that we're unknowingly doing wrong by their advice, or, you know, what they say is okay and it turns out to be wrong, they're accepting the responsibility for that decision.
I would think, and Counselor, I would think we would have some recourse with them if they give us bad legal advice.
Well, possibly. Basically, you can always sue somebody for malpractice. That's usually not the first choice. You might want to make sure there's some kind of an indemnification clause in there saying that, you know, if we're out something because we relied to our detriment on something they represented, that they're going to stand good for it. Now, they may not be able to they may not be willing to give that. But I'm just saying, I've not seen this particular, you know, contract, proposal, whatever, but customarily, unless they say they're going to stand good for it, you know, that's not really, they might be willing to do it if you pay them to do it. So I'm just saying you might want to make sure there's an indemnification clause in there, or at least ask them about that. I agree, you're going to need someone who knows more about this. I mean, the federal government being deliberately vague is not very comforting. And so,
And they're definitely being deliberately vague.
yeah, no, I think that's not, I think that's not coincidental. I think that's the whole point is, just because somebody up above them says, well, they shouldn't have done that. Well, I didn't tell them to do that, sir. And so I think that's why they left it deliberately vague, so they can do their own version of CYA. That's cover your ass.
Is this something that has to be done today?
I don't know that it,
Well, I know he.
It's one of the first things they teach you in law school.
About needing
CYA.
something done by the end of August because of some reporting or something.
yeah, because we do have a report that has to be filed by the end of August.
Well, what we don't want to do is spend the money on parts or whatever, and then we find out that we couldn't, and then we spend money that we don't have. So I'm agreeing with Marty, we need to have.
I think in principle, fellas, that this is a good idea, okay? Stites and Harbison is a legit, big-time law firm.
And they have offices in DC that are tightly connected to what's going on out of Treasury.
If they say they can do it, that doesn't surprise me. You're gonna need someone to help you walk through this.
If you're
We're gonna
really
be guessing.
expenditure category.
And anybody, at 50,
Yes, on.
yeah, $54,000, Marty, I agree with you, that's annoying, but, that might be a pretty good investment,
Right. I just, without you saying,
I know I'm not in any position to do that, so.
right, me either. I didn't know it.
Here's one thing I can guarantee you. I can guarantee you this. If we decide to expend money on something and we don't have this legal counsel and guidance, and the Fed and the Treasury, U.S. Treasury says, nah, that expense isn't allowable, I can guarantee you that the county judge and the county treasurer will not be the one reimbursing this money. It will have to come out of the county coffer somehow, some way. And I would feel better if we had some legal checks and balances. And
As I said-
I assume the treasurer would feel better.
And the cost of 54,000, 1.5%, is that what you said? It comes out of the ARPA
Right.
funds, and
Yeah.
we're also drawing interest off this money. So, I mean, in addition to what we're getting, we're also getting the interest as
Yeah,
well.
and honestly, to her point, honestly, by the time we get ready to expend any of this money, we may have accumulated or accrued enough interest to cover this cost.
Or a big portion of it.
But, yeah, well, we calculated the other
Well,
day,
I mean, the
about
account-
30,000 or
I
something.
think so. It's a 0.5%,
Yeah.
so.
So as I said, I think it's a good investment. I understand, and the county won't be out.
So how long have we been knowing about this? Did they just send this to you
what-
like recently?
He come by?
Last week, but they've been making their rounds.
Yeah, they've been making the
all
rounds to
counties.
all counties. They were was it Monday or Tuesday they come by?
I think so.
Last week.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah,
has to be
sounds
done
good.
by the end of this
By the
month.
end.
Well, we got a report due by the end of August, and I think that report has to include this kind of information if we go this route.
Okay.
Do you know if any other counties have jumped on board?
Yes, he named, and I mean, I guess I could call RJ right now if I needed to, but he named several counties that said, yeah, we're doing it. Yeah. I will be surprised if, I will be shocked if a majority of the counties don't opt into this, really. Because, I mean, they're all in the same boat. We don't have any real guidance. I mean, I don't mind making a decision like, hey, we'll do this, based on my interpretation of the guidelines, but
I wouldn't want to do that based on what we're reading here. It's just, there's not anything in here really that's black or white. It's all gray.
yeah. And as Sam said, I think that's intentional.
I assure you it's intentional.
Hey, would it be too much trouble for us having, since it's a third Tuesday in this month, to have if we can look into this, to get the information that we need, maybe have another special call on the 31st maybe?
I mean, I guess we
Before making that
could.
decision?
I would hate to have a special call meeting just to deal with this one topic, though. I mean, I think that here is kind of a thing, we've got to decide, is it worth the $54,000 to have some legal guidance and some accounting help? Or is it, I mean,
I hate to waste money, but, and it wouldn't be a waste of money if we make a mistake.
Hey, you may be doggone glad you spent it.
That's right, but it's money that's been given to us. I mean, it's not like it's money we're taking out of the general fund.
That's true.
We gotta spend it.
Yep.
So we know for sure that will be okay.
my understanding is we either have to spend it or return it by
That's right.
December
Yeah,
31
and
of 26.
Well, there again, I don't have a problem with the having somebody else's oversight. I'm not an attorney, but I am not seeing nothing in here that an indemnity clause that Sam's talking about. So I don't know. Sam, would you have time to read over this if we showed it to you while we're doing the rest of the meeting and look at it and see what you think? You means you haven't read it?
I will happily take a look at it. Just see if I can get my speed reading goggles on, but
Would you rather have a hard copy?
yes, please.
I just don't want to do something and then, would turn out, well, you still didn't.
Well, why don't we table this till the end of the meeting, give the attorney a little time with it here, and we'll move to the next topic here. All right, gentlemen, you got some information on the portal about setting our 2021 tax rates.
I'm gonna go somewhere quiet.
That'll be fine. I think we can make it a budget part of the, okay.
Yeah.
And this kind of ties in a little to what Bobby was talking about. We're seeing this growth. We are of the understanding that we get this state money to work on roads, but here, if we complete this project, we're roughly $8,000 short. There's going to come a time, and we've talked about this, where that state money to work on the roads isn't going to cover what we need to do based on the growth and so on and so forth. Bottom line is, we have basically three options before us. We can, first option, which I think is a very poor choice, would be to take the compensating rate and lose another 0.4% of the tax rate. We can take the compensating rate plus 4% without it being subject to a recall. I don't understand their calculations on this paper because they said it's 10, but 9.7 plus 4% is 10.1, but according to the calculation on the DLG sheet, it's 10, which is already 0.1% less than our current tax rate. We could keep the current tax rate or set it anywhere we wanted to above that, but then you've got a public hearing and subject to recall. I think given the growth, what we're needing to do moving forward, the understanding that the health department rate is inevitably going to go up. I mean, you all recall the retirement rates that they're going to be hit with and what's going to happen there. My advice and suggestion would be that we do the compensating plus 4 at 10, which essentially lowers the current tax rate from 10.1 to 10. But obviously this is a vote of the court, but, and the problem is what happens is if you continue to take that compensating rate as we're growing, next year's base is off of that number. And so when you're in a growth period, your compensating just continues to dwindle down. So then when you do hit that level off period, or even worse yet, you start seeing some decline, you can't make that, you can't get back there quick enough to make it up.
Can we we'll still have to have a hearing if you take the compensating rate, or the increase.
Yeah, if we do the compensating plus 4, we just simply have a public hearing prior to our next court meeting. And we just announced that at the public hearing that we've set the tax rate at what? And I'm still confused by the +4 because 9.7 plus 4 is not 10.
Well, I think what that is if you take, at 9.7, it's 1,372,000. And if you add 4% of that, that comes up to the 1,000,004, and that's where they don't do, it isn't 4 points on the, on the rate, it's 4% of your total amount.
Yeah.
And then somehow or another, and I have yet to find anybody in going on 16 years that can explain this calculation.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to divulge, get some of that information too. It's hard to understand how they get to where they're at, but yeah, if you do the 10, if we set the tax rate at 10, then in our next meeting, we do have to have a public hearing saying that the tax rate is set at the compensating +4 at 10. But you also explained that's essentially 0.1% less than the current tax rate as we stand. And I don't know who, anybody that wants to would be welcome to show up, but I don't know, most people won't complain if you're dropping their tax rate 0.1%, they'll probably be okay. Be better than going up 0.1%, I guess. I'm just very concerned that if we continue on that downward spiral that we're on, that when we see the flattening or the decline, it's just.
That's true, that they compensate the rate. When we get to that, hope we don't get to that point. But if we did, if our economy flattens out and we have our growth, we got growth and we got tax assessments, a lot of things are driving that number.
Yeah.
When it gets to that point, though, it'll start trending back up, but it may not necessarily be the rate that we'd like to see it, but it will. The compensated rate will go back up.
We've been to that point before.
Yeah, and it would, yes, you're right. If you get to where the revenue you're generating doesn't match this calculation, it would start sliding back up. But the likelihood that it would get back to that number, and I guess my thing, it take a while to get there. And my thinking is too, that if you're, here's the way you want to generate more revenue is by growth, not by increased taxes. So if you're holding a reasonable tax rate and you're growing, you're generating more revenue, but you're not generating it by increasing taxes on people. You're generating it because now, well, I'm going to talk about the census. Now we have 13% more people here than we did 10 years ago. So that's how you're generating that additional revenue rather than...
And we're locked into that for 10 more years.
That census number.
And I'm really glad it was at 19,500 instead of 20,500.
Yeah. So anyway, we've got to have a motion and a second as to a tax rate.
I'm gonna word it as I vote to lower the tax rate to 10%.
Okay. So we got a motion to set the property. Now this would be, Martin, let me ask you on your motion. As you see on the watercraft and motor vehicle, they're constant at 16.1.
Yeah, and keep that the same.
Okay, so the motion would be to set the real property tax rate at 10.
Yes.
And the watercraft and motor vehicle at 16.1.
And we'll have to advertise for a hearing at the next court meeting.
Yes.
Second.
So we got a motion by Marty at 10%, second by Nate. Any other question or discussion?
Well, 10 cents per hundred.
It's 10 cents
Yeah.
per $100 of assessed value.
It's still gonna be less than what we're paying.
It'll be a lower rate.
I just hate to get too low.
Yeah.
It just, and plus what we gotta give to the health department comes off that also. Man,
And they're
I'm
going
ready to vote.
They're going to start eating our lunch on that.
They are.
All right, so we got a motion by Marty and a second by Nate. Pam, is the motion clear to you? Yes. Okay. All right. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. All right, gentlemen, moving to financial business, if you had an opportunity to review the budget transfers, we have one, a whopping $148.20 OEM training. We need a motion and a second to approve that budget transfer.
Motion.
Got a motion by Scott,
Second.
second by Myron. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, gentlemen, if you had an opportunity to review this cash transfer of $2,329.28 from the road fund to the jail, we would need a motion and a second to approve that, and that is for the jail worker that's working with the county road crew to clean up.
Literally.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty,
Second.
second by Nate. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next, gentlemen, if you had an opportunity to review the bills and claims, we need a motion and a second to approve the bills and claims as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Myron, second by Marty. Any question or discussion there? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Then next is to review, if you had an opportunity to review the order of allowance to the Board of Assessment Appeals, we need a motion and a second to approve that, and that is to pay that stipend to those 4 members of that Board of Appeals.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty,
Second.
second by Scott. Any question, discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. All right. Next, gentlemen, is an interesting discussion. It's time for the renewal of our general and road CDs. As you look, we have the current rate is 0.85 on a 12-month term. We had 3 different banks give us a quote on another 12-month term, and it fell from 0.85 to the best we got was 0.45. Now, we do have one option with, and that was, I mean, I guess I can read these rates and banks aloud. We had, the Franklin Bank rate was 0.45, South Central Bank 0.25, and German American 0.18. Franklin Bank did offer an option to put this money in a money market account at 0.5, which a money market would be like a type of checking account, but it would be at 0.05% higher. Is it a checking account?
Yeah,
Okay.
but, I mean, we wouldn't get any checks. I mean, we wouldn't be
Well,
using it.
we won't use it, but I mean, you could put the money there rather than a CD and draw just a tick more interest on it. And so what Nicole and I talked about would be, the money we're talking about is roughly $107,000 in the road fund, because it was a $100,000 CD plus the interest that it's drawn is roughly $107,000. The general fund was a $200,000 CD, and it's, with the interest it's drawn, it's roughly $215 in it now. What Nicole and I talked about is if we wanted to do the money market account at just a tick higher rate, we might want to put an additional $200,000 to $300,000 out of the general fund in it to draw some interest, because that money's set and drawing no interest. But we would have the ability on that money, not the 215, but say we authorized an additional 300 to go there. We would have the ability then to pull that money out if there was a need or something happened, but at least that money could be earning this 0.5% interest instead of just sitting there.
Well, and the general fund right now is earning 0.2.
So it could go from 0.2 to 0.5 if we wanted to move maybe an additional 200,000 or 300,000.
Well, you can take money out of a money market account, but you can't out of CDs without
Right.
penalties and
And
everything.
that's what I'm saying. If we wanted to move an additional 300,000 out of the general into this, if there was a need or a reason that arose that we needed that money, we can pull it out. But obviously, the money in the CD, that 215, we would never want to touch that money.
And auditors don't care if it's in a checking account or a money market account.
I don't think they care.
No.
Just as long as fiscal court approves it.
Yeah.
But that can't be with like an investment account. Like, I had a meeting yesterday. We talked about some funds that we're gonna move to, I don't know, Edward Jones. And
No, you can't.
there's something that you can do there where you can get the money out and it not be a penalty if you need it, is what they were saying. Now, I don't know enough about it
When
to
you
know,
say.
but it just draws much more money than what they're giving.
Who was talking about that?
Renaissance.
Okay, Renaissance Board. All right.
Yeah, yeah. So that's, I just don't know enough about it to,
Yeah.
but I know they're just drawing a lot more money. And he called it something. I was looking on here to see if I could see what it was, but, that where you can get your money out just without any. Okay.
Nicole, how much additional do you feel comfortable that we could put into this money market account?
I would say, you know, of course, the principal amount in the general fund's 200,000. I would say to add an additional 300,000.
How much?
300.
Yeah.
I mean, especially, I told Mason, you know, we got the CARES money. I mean, it's just, we put it back in the general fund. So that was 800-something thousand. I mean, it's just whatever. I mean, I'm comfortable even going up to that. I mean, so, I mean, it's kind of wherever you all feel comfortable. I mean, you all see the financial statements as well as I do, so.
Well,
That's
let
what
me
I
ask
was
ask
talking
this.
about during the budget.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
adding more money to the CD.
Yeah.
I think it's a
On,
good idea.
On those two trucks and those cutters that we just bought, they're not due until they come in, correct? So could we take that money and add it to the $100,000 in the road fund?
I wouldn't, I mean, with the road fund is a little different. I mean, just because, you know, I told Mason yesterday, I mean, that balance kind of fluctuates a little bit because, I mean, I'm assuming he's going to be doing some fall paving. And then we also just approved that $300,000 grant for the industrial authority. We have to pay that first and then we get reimbursed for it. So we really kind of have to watch the cash flow a little bit when we're dealing with that. So, I mean.
I was just thinking-
Yeah, I mean, we can
talked about
easily
the road
move
fund
it,
yesterday
but,
too,
I was just thinking if that 100,000, we've got it budgeted anyway, we can't spend it till that money comes in. I didn't know if we wanted to add part of that into that road fund too, being you can pull it right out of the money market account.
I mean, yeah, we could. I mean, it's up to you all.
So you're talking roughly $60,000, 34 and 33, so
No,
67.
it's 70, wouldn't it? For the two trucks, 70.
Oh, it's right, two drivers, 70, and so 100,000, an additional
Yeah.
$100,000. Would you feel comfortable with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah. I mean, I think we'll be fine. I mean, like I say, it's readily available, so if we do get into a cash flow issue, then we just move it back. So.
Right.
So are y'all leaning toward the money market account
I'm
instead
leaning-
of the CD?
Yeah, and I'm leaning towards 300 from, or an extra 300 from the general fund and an extra 100 from the road fund.
If the county treasurer says she's good with it, I'm good with it.
Well, it's making
I'm
a
good.
little bit of money.
Just make
Sitting
something.
there instead of sitting in general.
So you want to make that a motion?
So
I'll
much.
second.
So we got a motion by Marty that we transfer the existing CD money in the general fund along with an additional 300,000 into this money market account at a 0.5% interest, and to transfer the existing road fund CD along with an additional 100,000 into the money market account at a 0.5%. And a second by Scott. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Gentlemen, we'll go back to item number 7. The attorney has returned. The jury has reached a verdict.
In typical lawyer fashion, I'm going to answer a question with a question. Did they come see you, or is this something that was sent to
No,
you?
they came and sat down and talked with us.
They who?
They being R.J. Palmer and, I can't remember the other guy's name.
Was there someone from Stites and Harbison with them?
No.
No.
Okay. It would appear, I mean, this obviously is a form contract. It would appear that this is sort of, the technical term is an adhesion contract, which means one size fits all contract. You know, most common example would be your credit card contracts, here, take it or leave it. Did they talk about possibly negotiating terms, or they said, here it is, sign off or not? What did they tell you?
They just said it would be the 1.5%. There was no discussion about negotiating.
Okay, I'm just,
Like terms of it.
okay, here's the thing. When you get down to brass tacks, I am nowhere capable or competent enough to help you all walk through the Byzantine labyrinth of the federal guidelines on how to properly spend this money without getting yourself in a jam, okay? I'm going, you know, I might as well just tell you, it's like Clint Eastwood said in that movie, a man ought to know his limitations, and that's mine, or one of many. That said, you're going to need help. Trying to do this on your own, I think, is problematic at best. And so, Stites is, you know, they're a serious law firm. They handle big-time stuff. You're going to need help if it's $50,000, you know, $54,000 altogether, and it comes out of that. I think that's something certainly you can depend. Basically, the contract says it comes out of that money, or they don't get paid. And so the county is not out any money from the general fund on our own tax base to, you know, pay for their services. And the money that you've gotten is money that didn't come out of your tax base. I mean, obviously we all pay for it because we're all American taxpayers, but
It didn't come out of the county tax
did
base.
not, correct. It did not come out of, you know, this is not for the county. And so this is money that we would not have ordinarily had available to us. So I understand there's not, I think there's not an indemnity clause basically saying, you know, if we screw up, we make you whole. I doubt you will get one, honestly. And just, it would not surprise me, as you said, that other counties are looking at this, particularly the rural ones, you know.
Well, the
Places
reason-
like Louisville and
I-
Lexington can, you know, they can do things differently.
I can say that RJ said the reason that they contacted Stites and partnered with them was several counties had contacted Compass about would they have the ability to help them, because DLG is basically saying, we're out of this one.
Well, nice to know they've taken a, you know, a firm, you know, drawn a firm line in the sand.
Am I understanding that correctly, Nicole? That, I mean, there's going to be no guidance from DLG as far as whether these expenditures.
No, and of course, DLG and CAECO are two different places, but NACO right now, which is the National Association of Counties, has been very helpful. It's just that, I mean, we're all kind of walking the same line here.
Feeling
it's
our
very
way around the
vague.
dark.
Yeah.
No, it sounds like the state's.
I mean, they're doing the best that they can to interpret what's being said. Of course, I know that all the comments were, and questions were supposed to be submitted to Treasury, I believe, by July 16th. And I haven't heard or seen all of those comments and questions that have been answered by Treasury yet. And I know a lot of those questions are questions that most counties are asking and are waiting to hear some answer and guidance on that, so.
And you know, you remember RJ said that he felt like the Treasury was going to release full guidance like either that evening or the following day. So I messaged RJ and I said, did you get the complete guidance from the Treasury? He said, we still haven't seen it. I said, would you please forward to me what you get as soon as you get it? Still nothing yet. I mean, I feel like the federal government wants to be, as Sam said, as vague as they possibly can be, So that, and, you know, I don't know.
That leaves them the most wiggle room.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's the golden rule. Who has the gold makes the rules. And so,
Well, and it's federal money, and, I mean,
no, I'm just, it's, all humor has some basis in reality.
And in this case, if we, you know, we approve this and we find out something next month or 2 months, they're not gonna get $54,000 when we approve this. They get 3/4% of the money we spend as we spend it.
As you
spend,
as you
yeah,
go
so
along.
we don't
Something
get a nickel
happens.
till we expend money.
Yeah, so if something happens, and we can just terminate this and go with somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any clause in there. I mean, that's very true, Marty. I don't, you're right. But yeah, it's, my advice is it's probably not a bad investment to make.
Let's lay it out like this. When you're talking about figuring out how you want to calculate, tabulate, and expend $3.6 million, $54,000 could be cheap insurance from a competent law firm.
I'm just saying, I think that's probably, in the long term, not a bad investment to make.
And I agree with you, but I also don't like, you know, I don't like just voting on something like that without at least the attorney reading over it. and looking
No,
at it.
I'm not fussing, I'm just, that's also very wise, Marty.
So with all that said, I will make the motion.
All right, so we make, Marty has made the motion that we, enter into the Harper Recovery Fund Expenditure Policy Resolution and authorize the county judge to sign that resolution.
Second.
Second by Scott, but Scott and Nate was about the same time, but I heard Scott first. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, on to reports. One, Marty and I have been talking about this, and gentlemen, if y'all recall, we talked about the parking signs on 31W in our last meeting, and Joe Plunk with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet has assured me that by the end of this week, those no parking signs would be along 31W South out there. Next, I handed all of you guys a paper, and Sam has been in the loop back and forth on this with the Fix Foundation. They're wanting to put a new and better facility for the Fix Foundation out there. But we have to sign the mortgage, not the note. We're not on the hook for the note, but we have to sign the mortgage. But go ahead. You'll understand this better than I do.
I did a little digging, as I told Mason. This started out a few months before I got in 2007. Apparently, there was an agreement or transaction where the city and the county, or the city actually owned it, conveyed property to the Fix people, and they left a reversionary clause. It's kind of is unusual. Left a reversionary clause to the county, meaning the city owned the property. They said, we're giving it to the Fix Foundation. However, if they ever quit using it for its, stated purpose of, doing animal, doing like an animal shelter, spaying and neutering and all that other stuff, then it reverts back to the county. Not the city, but the county, because apparently, my understanding, and I talked to Mr. Crabtree about this, the city was just washing their hands of it. And your predecessor's predecessor basically thought, and I don't disagree with his reasoning, is that the reason for the reversionary clause is if the Fix Foundation wanted to try to move somewhere else, and they would try to sell the property, and basically they could sell it to whoever and have property right next to the park. And Judge Henderson thought it might be a good idea to keep some kind of control over that. So apparently the Fix Foundation wants to be able to borrow money, and they need to secure it, the loan. like most everybody else in the country with a mortgage. However, you have to be able to, God forbid, if it goes south, the bank will want to be able to foreclose and foreclose and do a master commissioner sale. Well, to do that, you have to be able to bind everybody who has an interest in the real estate, in which case the county. So what happens is the county would not be required to sign the note for the loan, but they would have to sign off on any mortgage. So if Fix gets in default, the bank in question or lending institution can file a foreclosure. So basically that's what's going on. In full disclosure, my partner, Mr. Mefford, is doing some of the legal work on the bank side of it. But if the fiscal court chooses to go along with this, the county taxpayers would not be on the hook for the note, the amount owed to the bank. It would just be if it goes belly up, if there's a default, the bank can obtain their collateral by means of foreclosure. And that way, but the downside is you're not really out any money. The downside is if there's a foreclosure, then you all would have to make a decision is do we go bid at the commissioner's sale to keep the property in the county's name or let a third party buy it. But I mean, you're not saying, oh yeah, well, we're co-signing a loan with somebody. That's not the case here. It's just basically making sure they're trying to extinguish a possible reversion interest if there's a foreclosure.
But we do have to sign the mortgage document as owners of the property.
We have an ownership interest in the property.
And another thing, this provides a much needed service for the county.
Absolutely.
It saves people a lot of money. Anybody who's getting any dogs or cats fixed, it saves them a lot of money.
And obviously,
So-
they are having to borrow money, but they have had some donations that has given them a pretty good jump start to this project.
And like Sam was, they're not asking us to sign a loan for them to do this or anything. And, I was here when this started and we thought it was a good service and I still think it's a good service. So if you need a motion to do that, I'll make the motion.
So
I guess I'm making a motion for the county to sign the mortgage, but not co-sign a loan.
Authorized county judge executive.
Yeah.
So Marty's made the motion to authorize the county judge to sign the mortgage so that the Fix Foundation can proceed on with their loan to improve the property out there.
Second.
Second by Nate. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, and finally, gentlemen, we did get some census data. It looks like that Simpson County's census total for 2020 landed at 19,594. I think everyone was expecting to be in the 20,000 range, and as the old saying goes, we missed it by that much. But nearly 20,000, 19,594. But according to census numbers between 2010 and 2020, the percent of growth, Simpson County ranks number 6 in the percent of growth of all 120 Kentucky counties from 2010 to 2020 at a rate of growth at 13.1% from 2010 to 2020. So just some information. There'll be some more data come out on it, but that's the basics of where the census is at. And I think that'll wrap me up here. Marty, you have anything?
I got 3 things.
All right.
When we was talking about Tyson a while ago, I need to ask the counselor, if a business puts in like them, is requiring their deliveries, not providing a place for their deliveries to park, and they're having to park on a state highway, are they responsible? They're not?
Nope, because they're not the ones doing the parking.
Okay.
Now, yeah, I think the truck drivers can, sue them, but I mean, I'm just saying, they're not the ones doing the parking.
Okay.
So I've had that discussion, and so, I mean, I hear you, and nothing'd suit me better, but you charge the people who commit the offense, and, you know, if.
All right.
Well, that brings up a question to me then in my mind. Should we draft a letter, and I don't mind to draft it, send it to you, Sam, for you to say, hey, okay, I'll put my name on this, and send a letter from the county attorney to Cagle, letting them know that, hey, the shoulders of 31W have been marked as no parking zones. Our expectation now is that you provide a parking spot for.
That would be fine with me, and I think you could get Sean McPherson to sign off on it too, if you needed him to, from the state level. He's transportation, on the transportation committee. I just want to, I have talked to the owner of a local grain elevator and let him know. And everybody that I have mentioned this to, they say it's about time somebody does something before somebody gets killed there.
Well, you know, if you start writing enough, you know, citations, you know, everyone who's lined up there, I imagine they're gonna go jumping up and down and say you can have somebody else deliver your corn for you.
Exactly. Well, they know there's a problem because the lady that works at the scale house is on the radio constantly telling them, don't be parking on the road. That there's, you know, they're fixing to start doing things. So they admit that there's a problem.
We won't park in the clouds.
Yeah. The other thing, and I guess Bob could help on this, I had a training last Wednesday online, and the Fish and Wildlife are doing a loan of life jackets program. And I didn't know I was just going, maybe Bob could get the information together on this. If I read this right, it cost about, I think, $800 to put the structure up, and you maybe put one at the boat dock, but they provide the life jackets, they provide the sign, and any life jackets that are damaged or come up missing, they replace them. It'd just be, I don't know if it's something the court will want to do, but, you know, there's a lot of people who go out on the boats out there and do that things. If we had a life jacket available for them, it might be something people will use. I just want to run that by the court to see what the court thought about that.
Would that put us in liability for someone getting a life jacket?
And if they drown with it on?
Yeah, I mean, is that,
Yes. I mean,
or a child puts on an adult life jacket?
Well, like I say, we can check and get more information, and I thought with emergency management, we get something good for that department, but there, actually, I think the Fish and Wildlife helps monitor it. They help, you know, they try to work with that. So, like I say, that's what they were saying, if it saves one life, that, you know, it would be well worth any efforts that they put forward. But and it's just something new they started, but I didn't know if you know, if we'd want to do something like that or not.
And we can get some more information on it?
Yeah, we can get it. It's on their website.
Okay,
On the Fish and Wildlife website.
okay.
Can you do that for us, Bob?
I couldn't really hear what you were talking about. But
The Fish and Wildlife are starting a loan of life jacket program, and they're going to monitor it and provide the life jackets and everything. We just have to build a little structure to actually hang them on. And I was thinking maybe out by the boat ramp, that might be something good, but I thought maybe you could check on that and see what you thought about it and see what we could do.
I'll see what I can find out.
Okay, all right.
Good deal.
All right. And the only other thing, we got an issue on Blackjack Road there on Lick Creek Hill. Some guy is building what appears to be a privacy fence, but he's building it out of just old scrap wood, and it's right beside the state highway, and it looks horrible.
On Lick Creek Hill?
Yes, right there at the top.
On this side of Lick Creek?
It's right before you get where
Is it on the
Junior
other side of
Force
Owens
used to
Road?
live in that little house. If you're going up the hill towards Hillsdale, it's on the right-hand side of the road at the top.
Yeah.
And it looks horrible, so, I don't know if you have that planning and zoning, do they issue they're the ones that issues that now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
That's something I'll talk to Carter about after the meeting then.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Nate?
Just with the Boys and Girls Club, they're gonna be opening up for the kids next week, same time that the school starts. So then, they're gonna be able to come down there, and right now, you know, they're gonna start out with about 150 kids. You know, and as time go on, you know, they're not gonna turn no child away that would a parents need the club to house their kids. But they're gonna try to right now keep it around 150, you know, because they can work with the kids a lot better. And then the kids gets a lot more out of it from the staff and everything. But they're not gonna turn those kids away if they wanna come down there.
Very good.
And that's all I have.
Scott?
You had a meeting with Renaissance yesterday. If you've not been to the Summer Nights concerts, they've been a huge success this year, big crowds and all of them. I think we have one more. Is it on August the 27th? Oh, yeah. I think it's Tyrone Dunn, I think.
Yep.
And then August 28th, it's Saturday at noon, there'll be like it starts our Summer Vibes Music Fest. The Songwriter Showcase will begin at noon, and then you'll have several bands that start at 2 o'clock, and they'll have vendors set up for that. And they've been doing some work on the alleys, kind of behind the Justice Center and that east side of the square there. They've got some pavers and stuff there that's looking really nice.
They've been working right along.
Yeah.
On it.
So they're still working on that. And I'd like to thank Bobby and his crew for some work they did out on Meadow Road. Done a good job. Tell you guys, we appreciate it. Got the people out there do. That's all I got.
All right. Myron?
No report.
No report. Counselor?
If I'm not mistaken, tax sale for delinquent taxes is tomorrow at the county clerk's office. If you run there today with a full payment, you can probably save it from being presented to a sale. If not, tomorrow, it is possible, not for sure, but possible a third party could buy it, in which case it will add more expense and cost. So please, if you haven't paid your taxes, you need to get on top of that. And I think that's all I have.
All right. Sheriff, you have anything?
No report, sir.
Brent, anything from the jail?
Got lunch.
All right.
First, we always like to lead with the numbers. This morning we had 291 folks incarcerated. 227 of those are state inmates, 64 county inmates. So we're seeing both populations rise as we thought. We knew the county population would rise. We were very fortunate to see the state population coming back on. I would like to get some clearance or some guidance from the court. We are looking at an EMR system for the jail. It's something that can be totally paid out of commissary, but that will let us have electronic medical records, be more transparent, give us greater protection in case of lawsuits, things like that. Just wonder what the court's position on that would be.
What exactly will the medical records be? I mean, explain kind of.
It's electronic medical records. It's what most every doctor's office, hospital, everything is going to. Gives us the opportunity to be able to see what medical's doing. It's no longer paper charts. We can chart things. We can be able to show continuity of service, things along that line.
Like a one-time cost or a recurring cost?
Well, we have two options there. It can be a subscription, and then there's also, you can purchase it. My recommendation would be to subscribe for a year and see if we like it before we drop. It's like $36,000 to buy it. It's like $12,000 to lease it. I would think do it for a year, see if you see if it meets the needs before you drop $36,000 on it.
So these medical records would be sent from the jail to the hospital electronically?
They could, if someone goes to the hospital, and they can also be shared back and forth between counties if we have inmates going from county to county. But it will keep all of our records in the jail electronic, and when folks continue to come back from past experiences, we will have those things available to us.
So you have no worry about any kind of security issues or
No,
anything like
it's
that?
all HIPAA compliant, it's very secure,
And you're able to cover it all out of the commissary fund?
every penny.
What was that cost again, Brent?
It's around $36,000 for the program. There's probably a little bit more extra hosting for the cloud. That'd be for the purchase. I don't have all the information here. I was just looking for guidance today as to what the court's pleasure would be. But the lease or subscription cost would be about $12,000 roughly. And again, I would recommend subscribe for a year, make sure it does everything that we think it's going to do. And if it does, then go ahead. But that is 100% recoverable from a commissary fund.
So now, after the first year then of 12,000, if you decide to go with that, to actually buy it, would that 12,000 come off the 36,000, or it'd be $36,000?
It'd be $36,000 more. When we looked at the options of the subscription versus the purchase over a 5-year period, they're going to about equal out in what you pay for subscription fees and maintenance on the program itself. But once you purchase the program, you own it. If you choose not to pay the maintenance fees, and you just don't get any upgrades that come with it. Yes, sir.
Would this be considered basically modernizing your medical record system?
Yes.
And it and aligns with just about everybody else who is in the medical records business,
Yes,
basically coming into the 21st century.
exactly.
I have no problem. Give it a go.
Here.
Okay, my question would be to Sam, is that something that the judge would need to sign a subscription, or would Eric need to sign a subscription?
Just to be safe, I think the judge would need to sign it.
Okay, we'll get that together.
Do we need a motion to authorize my signature on that document?
Probably would not hurt.
So moved.
After review by the county attorney.
I'm just saying, that way it's in the minutes, and
So we have a motion
A
from
record of
Marty
it.
to authorize the county judge's signature on this subscription to the medical records pending review of the county attorney.
Second.
Second by Nate. Any other question, discussion? That motion carries.
Okay, the sheriff sent some information from NSA about some grants that are available through NSA for correctional institutes. We've reached out to those folks, so hopefully we'll get some help on those grants.
What would you say it's from?
Pardon?
NSA?
National Sheriff's Association.
Okay.
And Kentucky's the weird state where the sheriff doesn't run the jail, but the sheriff was nice enough to pass that along to us.
Okay.
So we'll be looking for that. As y'all may know, we've been bringing in more state inmates, bringing in more county inmates. We got into a situation this month where we're running just slightly low in cash balance. I ask if y'all would, at the next court meeting, look at putting just a small cushion, 20, 25,000, so we don't get into that where we don't have to stop the transfer of these folks coming in. They're paying. It's already budgeted money. Just give us a little cushion if you don't mind to look into that. And of course, with those additional inmates coming in, as we talked last year, as numbers go up, we may have to look at bringing some folks back. We're not ready to do that yet. We want to make sure the numbers hold, but just want to give the court advice that if those numbers hold, we'll probably, instead of we're looking at maybe possibly bringing 2 back if the numbers continue to hold.
Would they be full-time, part-time?
That'd be full-time. We're trying to hire as many part-time people as we can.
It's almost gonna be difficult, it's gonna be difficult to get state inmates up with the many counties we got right now.
Yeah, we're getting back up to where we're almost full again. We've got about, We're 60 over bed space right now.
Yeah. Well, of course, we're housing quite a bit more county inmates than we,
Yes, sir. But whether they're county or state, they still have to be looked after.
all true, that's true.
But we only budgeted for, I think, 185 on the state inmate. And, you know, if we continue to run this 227, and if that number continues to rise, then I'll feel more comfortable coming back. It's just a heads up to the court. It's nothing we're going to do immediately. Just wanting to get that out there.
How many full-time you got now?
I believe it's 33, Scott.
33.
I'd have to go check that for you. Nicole
No,
Nicole may have a better answer for me. We've had so many people come and go in the last month, it's kind of hard for me to keep up with it. And when you're all through, I might need a small executive session.
Oh, yeah?
Okay, thank you.
For
For
personnel.
personnel?
Huh? Okay.
Okay. Carter, anything with planning and zoning? Bob, emergency management? Nelson, fire department? Bill, anything with maintenance? Bobby, anything with the road department? All right, I need to slide this little drawer open because I don't have this stuff committed to memory yet.
That's why you have it written down, Judge. So you don't
All
have
right,
to
so
memorize it.
I need a motion to enter into executive session according to KRS 1.810, paragraph F, which are discussions or hearings which might lead to the appointment, discipline, or dismissal of an individual or employee.
So moved.
Motion by Marty, second by Nate. Any question or discussion there? All in favor? Aye. All right, we'll take about a 3-minute break and convene in the meeting room.